This is what I used to love about Taylor Swift, is she stayed away from politics.
Right.
It's all about music, all about, female empowerment.
This week, I learned that Taylor Swift knows more about politics than Charlie Kirk. Now, to be fair, it's not really a great comparison. Charlie Kirk is paid by billionaires to push conservative propaganda that lines their own pockets. But if you want to take Charlie Kirk seriously, then I'm going to prove to you that he is just a complete moron. So first, let me show you why I'm talking about Taylor Swift. So she finally came out and actually gave some opinions on politics in an Instagram post. So this is from Vulture. In her widely shared Instagram post from Sunday, Swift endorsed Democratic candidates Phil Bredesen for Senate and Jim Cooper for the House of Representatives, listing off a list of reasons why Blackburn shouldn't get your vote for the Senate. Quote, "As much as I have in the past and would like to continue voting for women in office, I cannot support Marsha Blackburn. Her voting record in Congress appalls and terrifies me," Swift wrote in part. She voted against equal pay for women. She voted against the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, which attempts to protect women from domestic violence, stalking, and date rape. She believes businesses have a right to refuse service to gay couples. She also believes they should not have the right to marry. These are not my Tennessee values. Now, Charlie Kirk was not happy about this. So he was on Fox News and talked about how he used to like Taylor Swift, but not anymore.
This is what I used to love about Taylor Swift, is she stayed away from politics.
Right.
It's all about music, all about, female empowerment. Look, she says, the more I learn about Marsha Blackburn's record in Congress, I can't support her. Well, maybe she should actually learn about her record in Congress. Being a co-sponsor of bills that stopped human trafficking, sponsoring bills that would stop the flow of drugs and opioids in the state of Tennessee, against domestic abuse, so on and so forth.
Okay, let me actually break this down. But first, just some of the more ridiculous comments here. Charlie Kirk really cared about how Taylor Swift discussed female empowerment. Charlie Kirk really cares about female empowerment. Come on. The facade is, you can't go that far. We know you don't give a shit about female empowerment. Please. Also, the line he ends on there, Marsha Blackburn supported or was against domestic abuse, so on and so forth. He just plowed right through that sentence because her record shows the complete opposite, as I'm going to show you in a second. So first, so Charlie Kirk makes three main points about Marsha Blackburn and why Taylor Swift should actually look into Marsha Blackburn and support her. Okay, let's go through those points that he makes there. So he says, quote, Blackburn being a co-sponsor of bills that stopped human sex trafficking. So what he's referring to there is FOSTA and SESTA. Now, let me show you the reality of those bills. So this from The Cut. Here's what's wrong with the so-called anti-sex trafficking bill. On Instagram, adult performer Lauralee Lee posted an impassioned plea to her followers to call their senators about opposing SESTA. She writes, "This bill claims to target human trafficking, but does so by creating new penalties for online platforms that are overwhelmingly used by consensual adult sex workers to screen clients, to share bad date lists, to work indoors, and to otherwise communicate with each other about ways to stay alive. Data shows that access to these online platforms decreases violence against sex workers, but I don't need data to show that my friends are safer with the ability to screen clients, to share information, and to work indoors. In 2006, my friend Sequoia was stabbed and killed by a client while working alone and outdoors. I know that supporters of these bills want to end violence against women and against marginalized people of all genders. So do I. SESTA will only increase violence against the most marginalized." So that's just one article example breaking down what's wrong with SESTA and FOSTA. You can research this and find many other articles with other sex workers talking about how this actually increases violence against women. So those bills that Marsha Blackburn co-sponsored are terrible. Now, going on to the next quote here. Blackburn sponsored bills that stop the flow of drugs and opioids in the state of Tennessee. Yeah, that's not true either. So, more. This is from the Tennessean. Representative Marsha Blackburn. Drug law had unintended consequences. Should be revisited immediately. The comment comes in light of a joint investigation by 60 Minutes and the Washington Post, in which a whistleblower accused Blackburn and other congressional lawmakers of passing the law that led to lax scrutiny and a rise in opioid deaths. Renazizi, along with Jonathan Novak, a former DEA attorney, pointed to a bill sponsored by Representative Tom Marino and co-sponsored by 14 others, including Blackburn, which they said stripped the federal agency of the ability to freeze suspicious shipments of opioids. Prior to the legislation's passage in 2016, the DEA had been able to halt drug distributors from sending millions of opioids to doctors and pharmacies who law enforcement thought were feeding people addicted to opioids. In addition to co-sponsoring the legislation, Blackburn received $120,000 in campaign contributions from the pharmaceutical industry, according to the Washington Post. So once again, Charlie Kirk proves that he knows nothing. But again, in reality, he's paid to know nothing. He's paid by wealthy conservatives to be this stupid and spread their propaganda. So let's go to the last point that he made here. Quote, Blackburn is against domestic abuse, so on and so forth. Now, I guess I can't debate the so on and so forth, but okay, Blackburn is against domestic abuse. This should be an easy one. I mean, this shouldn't even be a reason to support anybody. Everybody in Congress should be against domestic abuse. But is Marsha Blackburn against domestic abuse? You tell me. GOP Congresswoman, I opposed domestic violence bill because it protected too many groups. Representative Marsha Blackburn on Monday openly admitted that she opposed the latest reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act because it included protections for LGBT, Native American, and undocumented victims of domestic violence. So, Marsha Blackburn only opposes domestic abuse if it's against white women. Now, if you think I'm taking this out of context or I'm not telling you the truth, let me show you an actual clip of Blackburn on MSNBC discussing this.
What part of the Senate bill did you not like that diluted it? Is there a specific portion of it?
I didn't like the conscience, the way the conscience protections were there on the trafficking. I didn't like the way it was expanded to include other different groups.
I mean, there you go. There's no hiding behind this one. She didn't like that other groups were being included in the bill, and that's why she voted against it. Marsha Blackburn is a terrible person, and Taylor Swift has proven that she knows more about politics than Charlie Kirk does. So, if you still think Charlie Kirk is an honest actor, then you have to admit that he is just a complete idiot. Now, let me show you this great comparison that the Daily Beast did on Charlie Kirk's comments about Kanye West sharing his political views versus his comments on Taylor Swift sharing her political views.
And what I love about Kanye West is he has been blazing this trail saying it's okay to think freely, it's okay to oppose the status quo, and in fact what makes America the greatest country in the history of the world is free thinking. This is what I used to love about Taylor Swift, is she stayed away from politics. And thank you, Kanye West, for standing up for what is right. I just wish there would have been some form of neutrality when she went about this, where she said just register to vote, make an informed decision. That would have been the proper way to go about this. And to have that kind of courage to wear the Make America Great Again hat. He said it best. He said, they're trying to tell me I can't wear this. They're trying to tell me I can't support this president.
There you go. When Kanye West shares his views, it's great. He's a trailblazer. When Taylor Swift does it, there should be some form of neutrality here. I mean, come on. Now, just for the record, I think it's fine for Kanye West and Taylor Swift to both share their views. And it's also fair for me to come out and talk about all the bullshit that Kanye West spews when he does it. So, it's free speech all around. We can all talk about how we feel about these different issues. But just be aware that when Kanye West talks, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Taylor Swift not only knows more than Kanye West, but also knows more than somebody who actually works in politics, Charlie Kirk. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button below and consider becoming a patron at therationalnational.com/join. You get some extra content, but also, most importantly, you help support me in continuing to produce these sorts of videos.